Hi, I'm Nathan Lusk from Warrior with a Pen Games, and today we're going to talk about Huang, a Three Kingdoms card game. It is the one of the first two games I ever made, and it is really fun. It kind of harkens back to the way card games were in the late 90s, early 2000s, when you would play a collectible card game. And I haven't made any changes to it, but I have a lot of ideas for improvements. And we can talk about a few of those while I'm going over the way the game currently plays with you right now. And it is a game where you choose one of 6 different Chinese kingdoms, and then you build a deck for that specific kingdom that uses that kingdom's generals, that kingdom's cities, and has actions and equipment and events and things that are specifically geared toward making that kingdom win in combat and in other ways. So the game is very different. It operates on a system of provinces. There are 4 invisible provinces in between these 2 decks for each of the 2 different factions we're using today. And those provinces are north, south, east, and west. And so what happens is, during your turn, you put a new city into play out of your red deck here until all of your cities are in play. And then you purchase generals from your blue deck, and then you have your equipment and actions and all of that kind of stuff here in your yellow deck. And that's what you use when you go to battle or do something like that. So the object of the game is to pick up generals, to defend your provinces, and to attack your opponent's provinces. And all of your generals have very specific roles whenever you recruit them. And so you're trying to balance the generals' roles between offense and defense, along with the equipment and actions and everything that are available to them. And so you're performing a very delicate balancing act to try to make everything into the best cohesive army you can. The battle we have today is going to be between Liu Bei's armies and Dongjuo's armies. And I chose these 2 because no one will complain about the way that I pronounce their names, and because they're also moderately different. They both have a few strategies that they share, but for the most part, they're two very different armies. Dongjuo, as in most of my games that involve the late Han, early Three Kingdoms period, he's very heavy at the top of his army, very light after that. Liu Bei's pretty solid throughout. He's got a really good top end, and he's got some pretty good guys in the lower end. And so it should be a close fight. We're not going to go through the entire game. This is a longer style card game, because your goal is to eliminate all of your opponent's provinces. So if you can ever get an opponent down to 0 cities, that's when you've won the game. So your whole goal is to pick up those generals and use them to eliminate your opponent's cities. And so we're gonna begin a game of Huang, Three Kingdoms card game. And first, Dongjuo gets to go first because that is the order of lords. And so he first will uncover a new city. He has uncovered Shandong, which is a north province. You see the N on it, and it produces 2 gold per turn. So it goes right here in his first slot, north province. And they actually do this at the same time. And Liu Bei, that's not the right deck. Liu Bei uncovers Shenyang, which is an east province for him. North, south, east is going to be his 3rd province, so it'll go about right there. And no one is allowed to attack in the very first turn of the game. So after they unlock their provinces, play their cities, they're allowed to look for generals in as many in as many cities as they own. And so they're each allowed to look for 1 general in their cities. Sure. He'll pay for that one, and he doesn't have enough money for this one, so he's going to get discarded. There we go. And now they would draw actions and events and all that kind of stuff. So let me show you what I did though. So you start the game with your lord in command. So Dongjuo and Liu Bei already begin the game in play. And Dongjuo is, well, they're both free. They don't have any cost associated with them. Other generals do, and I'll show you that in a minute. And they have this right here, command. Both of them have that. Here is Liu Bei. He says command right there. And so what command means is that they stay in the command area. They do not get assigned to specific cities. And they're allowed to participate in every single battle, offense or defense, period. The other generals are not like that. There are a few that could be put in command with them, but they're rare. So Li Jue, who Dongjuo recruited, had a cost of 1. That's right there at the top. And he has an attack value of 1 and a defense of 2. I'm sure you saw that Liu Bei is a 2-2 and Dongjuo is a 3-1. But see right here, Li Jue says defense. And over here, he does not say attack on the other side or offense. So that means that Li Jue can only be put on defense in a city. There are 2 areas you can assign a general to a city. That's defense under the city or offense over the city. And most generals can only be put in one place or the other. Now, when it does come time to fight, all of your attacking generals, all the ones on top of your cities, are allowed to form into one big army and go attack. And they don't have to, but you're allowed to take all of them. While all of your defensive generals can only be brought to that attack from one particular city or one particular province. So if you have, let's say you have all 4 of your provinces out and you have a few defensive generals in each, you're attacking from one province. So I'm going to attack from my north province, for instance, which means I can bring all of my attacking generals, plus I'm allowed to bring the defending generals just from that province. Now, when you play defense, the opposite holds true. You are allowed to defend with all of your defending generals because that's their job. But you're only allowed to use the attacking generals that are in the province that is being attacked. And so both players have a limitation as to the generals they can bring to a battle, and both players have a limitation as to which ones can defend in that battle. So these 2 players both finish their turns. You get 5 cards in your hand. Of course, at the end of your turn, you're allowed to discard ones you don't want and get new ones. Now, Dongjuo got 5 cards that are all actions, and that you can tell that because they're all yellow, and not yellow in the back, yellow on the front. So let's draw Liu Bei's 5 cards, and let's see if he gets anything. Oh, he did get something different. He got a gray card, which is always going to be an item, and the one he got is called 27 Strategies. It can be attached to Zhuge Liang for free, but we don't have him in play. And then he also got some other tactics. I'm going to leave these on the table face up since I don't actually have an opponent here. And once we get to a point where we might need some of them, I'll be able to play them and talk about how they work. So no one's allowed to attack in the first turn. Otherwise, Dongjuo would now be attacking Liu Bei, and then Liu Bei would be allowed to attack back. That's not really going to cut it in the first turn because no one's allowed to. And so that's the end of the first turn. They're both allowed to discard any cards from their hands that they don't want anymore. And Liu Bei's going to go ahead and remove the 27 strategies. The odds of him getting Zhuge Liang here soon are not very good. Each deck is designed so your city deck is designed with all of your cities in it that come from your lord, and you're allowed to put one neutral city. I'm not going to look at them, but the neutral city is a different color. It's black. And so you're allowed to add one neutral city to that deck. And so is, of course, the other player. And that's just a neutral city that you're going to try and take over during your conquest. I mean, you're going to get it, but you get shuffled into that deck. Your blue deck with all your generals in it is only generals. And it is a combination of generals from your army and any free generals that you want to bring. There's a huge list of free generals. Those cards are white. We'll hopefully see some of those here before too long. I know Liu Bei's got a few free generals in his deck. Dongjuo might have one or two. And then the yellow, and so these are all of your cities plus one free city. The blue ones, they have to be exactly 30 generals. And then the yellow deck over here, your actions and events and all of that stuff, this deck has to be between 30 and 35 cards. So you're building this on your own to hopefully highlight the abilities that your team has. He doesn't need that one. I think we might keep all of these just in case we need them later. And so now at this point, they both start the next turn. They each turn over a new city. Liu Bei gets a west city. Dongjuo gets an east city. Luckily, Liu Bei now makes 3 gold and Dongjuo makes 4. And so now he has 2 cities and Dongjuo has 2 cities. So they're each going to look at 2 generals, see if there's anyone they can recruit. And hell, Dongjuo will take both of them. He has an attacker and a defender. We're going to put the attacker here. We're going to put the defender here. And the cost of each general, which I showed you earlier, like this right here, it's at the top. It says archers 1 tactician. That 1 is the cost of the general. That shows you how much that the city that you're putting them in has to produce to support that general. So this city produces 2. Jiashu is worth 1 and Li Ru is worth 1. So that city of 2 can support 2 costs, and there are now 2 costs of generals in there. Liu Bei now gets to draw 2 more generals, and he can actually afford both of them. Ironically, they're both the same person. Any card that does not say unique on it, let me show you that. Here's a unique card. At the very bottom, it says unique. Any card that says unique may only be in your deck once. Any card that does not say unique, like Zhu Kang here, you're allowed to have up to 3 in your deck. So he's going to recruit both of these Zhu Kangs. You see that both of them are attackers. He's going to put 1 in each city. And now both of them have finished that. They both will draw their hand back up to 5. And now, as it's the end of turn 2, they are allowed to begin attacking Dongjuo first and then Liu Bei second if they choose to. Dongjuo is going to take a look at what Liu Bei's got, and it does seem smart for him to begin an attack right now. So, yeah, that's what he's going to do. Dongjuo will attack. He's going to come himself. He's going to bring Jiashu with him, and he's going to attack from... He's going to attack from the East Province so that he can bring Li Ru as well. So he's going to align his generals here on the East Province, and he's going to attack Liu Bei. He gets to choose where he attacks. Obviously, he wants to take out as much purchasing power as he can from Liu Bei's army. So he's going to attack the city that makes 2 gold instead of the city that makes 1 gold, knowing that Liu Bei can only go defend it with himself and with the general that's already there. So these 2 generals are going to defend against these 3 generals, and Dongjuo's hoping that he has enough force in this attack to kill those guys, or at least win the fight, and then destroy the city. Now, there are a couple of points of note here. To destroy a city, you must defeat the opposing army by more points than the city produces. In other words, this city produces 2 per turn, 2 production, and so Dongjuo's army has to not just have more attack than Liu Bei's army has in defense, but he also must exceed it by more than 2 so that he can destroy the city if he wins. So as the defender, Liu Bei uses his defense. He has a total of 3. And Dongjuo, as the attacker, uses his attack. He has a total of 6. So right now, Dongjuo is in the lead, 6-3, as this battle begins. And so the defender is allowed to take the first action. So Liu Bei is going to look through his cards, see if there's any... Oh, one last thing. There are a few cards like duels that allow you to, in the middle of a battle, have your people take a one-on-one fight against an opponent. and that is perfectly legitimate. And what it does is if you defeat that person, they're automatically gone from that battle, and there's a chance you may kill them. Every time a general is defeated, either through an action during battle or at the end of battle, when battle is resolved and one army is bigger than the other, you roll a die for that general, just a regular 6-sided die. And if you roll, the person who defeated them rolls a die. And if he rolls a 1, 2, 3, or 4, that general escaped and is fine. Nothing bad happens to him. If he rolls a 5, then that general was captured, and he takes that general, and he is allowed to decide if he wants to employ that general or not. Either way, he would take that general. If he employs them right then, he can just slap him down. Of course, he has to pay for it. If he doesn't want to employ him right then he puts him into his discard pile, which means he does not go into your discard pile. And he's allowed, if he ever runs out of generals and reshuffles that deck, he's allowed to take that guy out of prison and try to employ him again in the future. So he basically switches armies to this side. If he rolls a 6, then that general is killed, and that general goes into your discard pile and cannot come back until your deck is reshuffled later, if you ever get to that point. Lastly, the resolution of battles can be done 2 ways. You can either go with the numbers that are printed on the cards, and that is it. Or if you really want to make the battles a bit more random, where even a lower army can sometimes beat a larger army, for every point of attack or defense that your army is using at the resolution phase of a battle, and the resolution phase is after all actions are finished and no one's going to play any more actions, and it's just down to the base attack versus the base defense of the people that are left, that's when you resolve it. You can either just take those numbers and that determines who wins and by how much, or you can roll dice. So if this battle were already over and we were rolling dice, let's say we're not rolling dice, it would be 6-3, which is enough not just to defeat this army, but also destroy Zitong, and Zitong would be gone. And Liu Bei would be in a real hole economy-wise. And Dongjuo would get to roll for Zhu Kang and see if he killed, captured, or neither, and Zhu Kang got away. The lords cannot be captured or killed, by the way. So Dongjuo and Liu Bei are always safe. Or if it was over right now and we were rolling dice for the finale, Dongjuo would roll 6 dice, Liu Bei would roll 3 dice, and whoever's total roll of all those dice ended up being more would be the one that won, and they would win by whatever the difference was. Now, it does stratify the results quite a bit more, and it makes it it's not common for a smaller army to defeat a larger one, but it is possible. Where it's not at all possible for a smaller army to defeat a larger one force-wise, attack versus defense-wise, if you're not using dice. So it depends on how you want the game to play out. It plays perfectly fine either way, but you have to be confident with your arithmetic skills if you're going to use the dice, because it adds one more layer of a little bit of math to the game. So, with all that said, it's Liu Bei's turn to play an action during the battle, and he kind of needs to, because he's behind 6-3. Let's see. Zhu Kang is just infantry. Ooh. Okay, Liu Bei's got a duel he's going to play. Now, when he challenges this duel, the card says, choose your general and 2 generals of your opponent's. Your opponent may select which of his 2 generals will accept the challenge. The duel compares total attack and defense, and the winner is the one that rolls higher. In the case of a tie, roll again until a winner is determined. And then, of course, you roll 1d6 to determine what happens to the loser, who at the very least is removed from battle. If If your opponent denies the duel challenge, both of his generals leave the battle but remain in their respective provinces. So Liu Bei himself is going to challenge to a duel either Jia Shu or Li Ru. Liu Bei is 1 point better than both of them. He's a 2-2, that's attack and defense, while Jia Shu is a 2-1 and Li Ru is a 1-2. So now Dongjuo has to decide which of his two generals is going to take that duel. And he's going to choose Li Ru because if Li Ru loses, he's only missing one attack. He's still up 5-3. So the duel has been played. It is accepted by Li Ru. And now Dongjuo rolls 3 dice for Li Ru's part of the duel. Rolled pretty well, rolled 10. And Liu Bei rolls 4 dice for his part of the duel. He rolled a total of 14 actually, sorry. And so Liu Bei is successful in the duel and Li Ru must leave the battle. And now Liu Bei gets to see what exactly happens to Li Ru. Remember, on a 5, he captures him. On a 6, he kills him and he's out of the game for a while. So Liu Bei killed him. Li Ru is not just defeated, he is dead. He goes to the discard pile. And Liu Bei has now taken one of Dongjuo's attack out of this fight. So now it's 5-3, and Dongjuo is allowed to play in action. Uh-oh, he can't play any of those. Oh no, he doesn't have any cards to play. He doesn't have what's required to play any of them. So let's see if there's one more thing. Oh, yeah, he can. Well, he's not going to because he's winning. He's winning. He doesn't need to do anything just yet. So it's Liu Bei's turn. And Liu Bei has every army has a special ability. I've got to familiarize myself again with Liu Bei's. Once per battle, you may declare a duel between one of your generals and your opponent. You may choose his participant, but he cannot decline the duel. It compares total offense and defense with dice rolled for the accumulated totals. Neither general can increase his numbers after the duel is declared. Oh, so Liu Bei is going to make a duel challenge with himself again. He's a 2-2. And Dongjuo has to decide whether he accepts it with himself as a 3-1, which would make it 4-4 dice, or with Jia Shu, who's a 2-1, who would only get to roll 3 dice. So yeah, that's what Liu Bei is going to do. Dongjuo is going to accept that duel himself. It gives him the best chance of winning. But he realizes if he loses this duel, he will lose the battle because he'll only have Jia Shu left to attack versus 3 defense. So they're both going to roll 4 dice. Dongjuo gets a total of 11. Liu Bei gets a total, oh my gosh, of 6. Liu Bei loses the duel and must leave the battle. He goes over here. And now it's just Zhu Kang by himself. Dongjuo victorious so far. Will pass again. There's no sense in him using any actions. He's currently up 5-2. And Liu Bei, let's see if he has anything else that he can do. Gosh, he doesn't. He's just screwed. That's the end of the battle, unless you're rolling dice for it. If we don't roll dice for it, then Dongjuo not only won the battle, but he also kills the city Zitong. But let's roll dice and see where that would have ended up putting us. So 5 attack for Dongjuo because he has a 3 and Jia Shu has a 2. That's a huge roll. That's 12, 16, that's 21 total versus 1 defense. I rolled a 1. So 20, what did I say? 21-1 definitely wins. Zitong is dead. Zhu Kang lost the fight and now Dongjuo gets to see what happens to Zhu Kang. And one of Dongjuo's special abilities is when his force defeats an army, you roll the die the same way you do against everyone else, but if he rolls a 1, 2, or 3, the general escapes. A 4 is a capture, 5 and 6 are both death. So a 4, 5, or 6 here is really bad for Zhu Kang. It's only a 2. So he's going to stay alive. He's going to, oh wow, he actually can't afford him in that province. But he doesn't have to have that resolved just yet. He has to have it resolved by the beginning of the next turn after they get new provinces. So that's fine. So, the end of the battle, Dongjuo moves back over to his command spot. That's the end of that turn. And Dongjuo has a definite lead here. And he has decided he can't use most of these. He's going to discard all of these cards and draw 5 new ones. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Got a lot of equipment. 3 pieces of equipment plus some, plus some actions. An action he can actually use during the battle. That's good. 2 of them, possibly. And now Liu Bei probably needs to get rid of a couple of these. Probably ought to get rid of that one. He's going to hang on to that one just in case he can use it later. And then he draws 4 more cards to replace the ones he threw away. He got some items as well. And now they each get a new city. Oh, gosh. Dongjuo's got this game wrapped up. He just drew his neutral city, which has a value of 4. So massive right there. It's east, so it goes here. And then Liu Bei at least drew another east city also, so he at least can stack all of his people in one land. And now Dongjuo gets to look at 3 generals. He has an extra gold in this province and 5 extra gold there. He's just going to put all these guys in this one. Oh, see, here's a special general. Lu Ji is allowed to be on attack or defense. Dongjuo is going to put him on defense so that he can use him for attack anyway. He's going to be attacking from here. And Liu Bei gets to draw 2 generals. Oh, he drew 2 neutral generals. These are the free generals I talked about earlier. They don't match his color, but any white generals, any card of general that's white can be put into any deck. And they're not great. That's pretty interesting. I know I don't want, or do I want Go Yu? He's 2 defense for almost nothing. For now, Liu Bei's just trying to stay alive. He's going to take Gao Yu. He's going to discard Li Yan. And that's the end of that phase. And so now it's the attack phase again. Dongjuo is allowed to attack. You know, it would have behooved Liu Bei possibly to attack him back after that last fight, because he probably could have won in Shandong. He at least would have had a good chance. But that's okay. This is just a practice game. So now it's time for the attack. Dongjuo definitely wants to attack Liu Bei's last province. Reminder, you can only kill 1 city at a time. So even if Dongjuo wins this fight, he's only going to be able to destroy 1 of those cities. And a game is never over until a team has seen all of its cities. The problem is if they're losing a city every turn and they're only gaining a city every turn, they can't really keep up with an army that's not losing cities. So the odds right now are in Dongjuo's favor that he's going to win this match, even though Liu Bei could have evened it up and taken out Shandong last turn. So if Dongjuo now attacks, he brings himself plus all of these guys. He has 3, 5, 7, 9, 10 attack power versus Liu Bei's defense power, which is, this guy was a defender. I should have put him at the bottom. Which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So not really that bad, actually. 3, 5, 7, 9, 10. So 10 to 6. And Liu Bei gets the first action. Let's see what he's going to do. Yeah, he is first. Going to pull a flanking maneuver with Gao Yu. That will add 2 to his total defense at the end of the battle. And yeah, he likes that a lot. And now it's Dongjuo's turn. And now it's 8 to 10. Was it 8, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 to Dongjuo's 10 attack. And Dongjuo is going to charge, which is the same thing as flank, but it's for attackers instead of defenders. It must be cavalry, or it must have the ability charge. So he's going to go ahead and charge with Hu Qing, and that will mean that at the end, during resolution, if Hu Qing is still in the battle, he'll be worth +2. So that would put Dongjuo at 12. And now it's Liu Bei's turn again. He's going to use the duel on his home province and challenge Dongjuo to a duel. And Dongjuo has to accept it, but he gets to choose whom he accepts it with. He's going to accept it with himself again, just because he doesn't want to risk the lives of any of his generals. He's at an important crossroads right now, and if he wins this duel, it's probably game over. So Dongjuo rolls all right, 14. Liu Bei rolls garbage. Liu Bei lost, he's out, that's game. There's just not going to be a way for Liu Bei to catch back up. So it was a quick game. At this point, the Liu Bei player should probably concede. It was bad luck at the beginning. Dongjuo got some big money on the table and was able to really push forward quickly and win this match. But that's what happens sometimes in card games. Someone gets a little bit better draw than someone else, and that often will do it. So I want you to recognize a couple of things here. Number one, this is a game I developed years and years ago. There's a few small changes I could make which wouldn't change the way it plays very much. Would change the way it plays a little bit, but wouldn't really have to remake the game. Part of that is how many generals you're allowed to see per turn to try to hire. I've already been considering doing something like that. The rest would be to, I really want to change the design of this game. And while I can do that pretty easily, none of that means anything unless there are people willing to buy it once the game gets produced. Now, I do have some samples somewhere. I thought I had them in here. I don't. I do have some samples of the new design that I put on this game, and it is stellar. I mean stellar. And I'll grab those before this video is over. But I also want to say that we need artwork. This game is like all of my other games. It needs really high quality artwork to make the game pop. So just like I've asked in some of my other videos, please go check out my Patreon and let's see if we can get our heads together, get our money together, and get some dynamite artwork from a wonderful artist that would really accentuate the way this game plays and get that taken care of. I'm going to be right back with the samples for these cards on the redesign that I've already done, so that you can see just how cool I can make all of these. Here we go. And I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Am I missing one of my Chinese warrior? Nope, there he is. So rather than these business-sized cards that I have here, I've redesigned the game to regular-sized playing cards. You can see the back is very different as well. And this would just be the character cards. And this is my preliminary design ideas of how to kind of change it up. So this would be the new look of the front of the cards. That artwork is from a wonderful artist in Hong Kong who did these, gosh, it's probably been close to 10 years ago. And she's phenomenal. She did an amazing job. But the painting is the only part that she did. I did all of the graphic design, put the card together, designed the back of it, and got all the information put on the card myself. Something more along these lines is what I'm thinking for the designs for the cards. So this would be the Green Army, Liu Bei's army that I just used, and the Sun family, the Liu Biao family, and then Cao Cao or Cao Cao's card. And of course I have Dongjuo and everything as well. But these are the designs I have for the future for this game. I really want to make it look new and fresh, make it look good. I think that these cards are stunners. particularly when compared with the old style card. I think that this is just a lot more beautiful. It's a lot more presentable. This looks like a card game that you could get behind, right? And I want to get this done. I don't know that we want to put art on every single character or every single card especially, but we definitely want to get some art to make the game a lot more visually appealing. But I think that this new graphic layout will go a long way toward that. If this is a game you feel like you could get behind, please check out my Patreon page. Give it a look on there. There's something everyone can afford. It starts as low as $5 a month. And I would really appreciate the help. I need as many of these games to get artwork and get out there into the market as I can. I'm Nathan Lusk from Warrior with a Pen Games. I really appreciate you coming to check out this video and to take a look at Huang, a Three Kingdoms card game. Check out some of my other videos. I have a lot of games that I've designed, and I've posted videos for a lot of them so far. There's still a few more to go, but I appreciate your time. Hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, and thanks for coming to visit me at the gaming table. Come back and see me again. Thanks.